We'll make a start. Welcome everybody to the Kaput Centre. This is a great turnout to kick off the start of our Colloquium series for the year. My name is Stephen Hegedus, for those of you who don't know me. I'm the director of the centre, and it's my great pleasure to introduce my colleague, Maria Blanton, to kick off this year's interdisciplinary colloquium series, to give a talk on her work on algebra in the elementary grades. Before we begin, I'd like to just make a couple of announcements. We have now produced a newsletter for the fall and winter, and there'll be one for the spring and summer. If you have not received these or have not seen these, please take some with you, share them with your colleagues. There's the upcoming events for the talks that are going on here this fall, and other events that is occurring in the centre throughout the upcoming few months. There is also some recent publications, one of which is Maria's book that she'll, I believe, well, I can see it hiding underneath there,
read something out of it.
that she'll be referring to today. For those of you who are teachers, I think it's a really important book, very practical, and it's the details of how to get it is on this newsletter. So please take one of these with you, or more. We have plenty, and there are also flyers here. So thank you for your attendance. If you want to be added to our e-list for our e-newsletter, which goes out once a month, let me know your email, or maybe I'll just leave a piece of paper here up front. Write your email down, and we'll add you to our list. You'll only get 1 to 2 emails a month. We just want to keep you up to date with what's going on here and exciting news as well. So thank you very much. And I think, unless there are any other announcements, I'll hand it over to Maria.
Okay, sure, thank you. I'm very pleased with this turnout. Thank you so much, and I think it attests to some excitement about algebra in the elementary grade, so thank you for coming. I decided that I didn't want to make this a formal presentation because, frankly, I think that would put me into labor, which is probably a ringing endorsement for doing one. But anyway, I'd like for it to be more of a conversation, and I've invited 3 people to come and help me keep that conversation going. And I'm going to let them introduce themselves in just a minute. But researchers are shameless, especially in education, because we just steal the ideas of teachers all the time and just pass it off as our own work. And I've had the opportunity to work with some really great teachers in local schools, districts in southeastern Massachusetts. And 3 of them are with us here today. And so I'm just going to pause for a minute and let them introduce themselves and give us some context for where they're coming from. Start with Andrew.
Hi, my name is Andrew Gentile. I'm a 4th grade classroom teacher in Foxborough at one of the 3 elementary schools there. And a few semesters back I had taken Dr. Blanton's course and was able to take some of the tasks we talked about weekly and implement them in my classroom and sort of take off with them and do a lot of great experimentation and some things that I hadn't tried before that were pretty effective in my classroom. So.
Thanks, Andrew. Fran.
My name is Fran Vincent. I am currently a 1st grade teacher at St. Joseph's School here in Fairhaven. And just like Andrew, I took Maria's class, Dr. Blanton's class, actually a year ago today. And I found it fascinating. And I even jokingly said to her, if you want to write a curriculum book, I'm in. Because I found it really fascinating that you could take some of the information she gave us and put it into algebraic form at such an early level and have the kids actually get it. So that was very impressive.
Okay, we'll certainly get some examples from those 1st grade classes in a minute. Angela?
My name is Angela Gardner. I usually teach 2nd and 3rd grade in the Dartmouth school system. I've currently taken a year and this year off to be with my 3-year-old and 1-year-old, so different than the classroom. I took Maria's class about 5 years ago, I guess, so I've been implementing algebra in the classroom since taking that class. And it's wonderful to see how young you can start algebraic thinking with children and how successful they become in math because of it. So.
Okay, thanks. And these guys are bringing the examples for us to think about today. Can everybody hear me? Okay, all right. So knowing that a number of the people coming today are coming from schools and locally, everybody doesn't have to do this, but I'd like to get a sense of, I'd like for us to get a sense of what is your school or district doing with algebra in the elementary grades? Or maybe they're not doing anything yet, or where do you think they are in that whole question? So if I can just open it up for a few minutes, maybe a few of you can respond to that question.
We're just starting, actually. I'm a math coach with Bethany, and we're the first 2 math coaches we've ever had in Wareham. And the focus we're using with we're having to be under Title I is number sense and algebraic thinking. So at this point we're buying every Marilyn Burns or whatever book and, going online. We've taken that Math Forum course with I can't remember her last name, but she really pushed the algebraic thinking in that course. We both took that one. So we're just at the very
Okay, starting point. And what grades are you starting with? Is this
K 1-5.
1-5. Okay, good. That's actually critical. We probably won't. There are a lot of things we don't have time to talk about today, but making a systemic approach to this is really important. Anybody else? In terms of what your school's doing? Okay.
Title I teacher, John William Deacus Elementary School, also in Wareham.
Okay.
And again, we're getting our feet wet with algebraic thinking, patterns, relations, and algebra, and looking at the MCAS and seeing what things are covered, how they're covered, and going from there.
And we'll touch on that again too. It's actually been, for us, really important to help teachers see that connection with MCAS and the algebra. And Massachusetts is really good that way because that does help push the algebra envelope because it does show up on MCAS. And so that's really been a help for us in trying to get that implemented in schools. Anybody else?
I work on the Cape at Hyannis West. I'm a math specialist. I teach 3rd and 4th. We do a lot of work with balance scales, variables. I have a lab of computers, so we go online. Fair amount. You're probably familiar with Math Playground. They have a lot of like algebra puzzles and things like that. I do that a lot with kids.
So balance scale.
A lot of patterning questions and things like that.
Working with issues of equality and things like that with the balance, or what's the?
Yeah, they give 3 variables and a value
Right,
for the
right.
3. They've got to find the value of that and then plug it into the ones. It's like 2 drums and a banana.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think some of those are MCAS kind of questions too. Right?
Similar, yes, very similar to what they see on MCAS, and a lot of balance scale work and things like that. Not so much with inequality, but
That reminds me of one simple task you can give, and ask your first grade teachers to give it to, you know what I'm going to say, don't you? Give it to their students. It's always, even up to 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, it's always an eye-opener. Ask their students to solve an equation like 3 plus 4 equals box plus 5, and see what they put in the box. And if you want a quick entree into getting teachers' attention in terms of why this might be important, that's usually a good eye-opener. I'm not going to talk about that today, but anyway. So if I can just get you a minute, or take a minute to look at this problem. There's a lot of words up there, but just take a minute and solve it. Think about how you would solve this problem. This is a task that came from a middle grades, teaching mathematics in the middle grades, an NCTM publication, but we actually use it in grades 1 through 5. And so we'll talk about what that might look like in those grades. But I want to give you a minute just to think about the math here and imagine, obviously most of you, this won't be a struggle for us, but imagine how your students might handle this problem if you're teaching grades 1 through 5.